All right, so welcome everybody to Rewriting Your Story, a subconscious mind reprogramming workshop um, hosted by me, Petra, and the Human Beauty Movement. So our host, Jen, is not here today, but I wanted to share about Human Beauty Movement. They're our partner in this beautiful event, and it's the community that I am co-creating with. And the Human Beauty Movement is an organization that's truly beautiful inside and out. And their mission is to create an inclusive space where people can show up, share, and celebrate our own uniqueness. So it's a positive space where love, inclusivity, acceptance, and kindness abound. No matter your gender, race, age, beliefs, or background, you are welcome here. So it's truly a space where we choose to find the beauty in everything. And so honored to be partnering with them. And we have some new people here, so I'm so excited to be connecting with you. So my name is Petra, and I'm a life coach and the co-founder of the Inner Outer Beauty Women's Circle with Amy. And I'm an intuitive life and love coach. So I specialize in subconscious mind reprogramming, which is really a fancy word for helping you change your mind, change your experience, heal from the past, and be the most empowered version of you in the present. And I'm trained in life coaching, subconscious mind reprogramming modalities like NLP, theta healing, and Psych-K, as well as Akashic Records, authentic relating, and ISTA, which is an amazing mystery school that focuses on the sexual, shamanic, and spiritual. So I really like to take from, very many aspects of life and just help create an inclusive space for both the light and shadow to be known. And, just from the get-go, I'm a student of life, right? I'm not claiming to have the answers to everything, but what I really want to create is a space for all of us to just bring it all to the table, right? And that's really what Rewriting Your Story is all about. We're not going to do this, toxic positivity, bypassing, like the toxic love movement, right? We're really here to welcome all of it so that we can love all of it. And that's how we heal. That's how we move forward, because what we don't accept, love, and heal will continue to perpetuate as trauma. And why I'm so passionate about this work is because, if we look around at the world today, there's so much violence, there's so much oppression, there's so much inequality, and that's really just hurting people, right? Hurt people, and healed people heal people. So thank you for showing up today and choosing to be a healed person, for choosing to show up for your healing, and namely specifically family healing today, because I truly believe that it all begins in the family system. And like I've been in the personal development path for about 10 years now, and there is the healing isn't complete until we truly look at the wounds that happen within our family, right? Because the mother wound is the mother of all wounds. The father wound is the father of all wounds, right? So our unresolved conflict, the unhealed stories with our mother and our fathers, we play out in our intimate relationships. Literally, it goes to the same part of the brain, like when our parents, our main caretakers, our brain registers them and our romantic partners in the same part. That's why whatever's unresolved with our dads, we play out with, with the person that we're dating and with their mom in the same way. It's how we relate to authority. It's how we relate to intimacy. It's how we relate to closeness, right? That comes from our caretakers. And then on the same note, our brothers and sisters, or whoever was our main peer group growing up, especially between the ages of 0 to 7, if the brother wound and the sister wound, we will play out with our peers. We play it out in our friendships, right? It's like we play it out when we walk into a room. Are we comparing ourselves to other women? If we see an attractive guy, how do we relate to them? It's based on, how we were relating to the boys and girls, men and women in our lives since we were in childhood. So it's really powerful to go into the root, right? And the family system is where all of it begins. So why does our family know how to push our buttons? It's because they're the ones that put it there. So when we can really look at what is the source of this, we can heal on such a quantum level, and it's going to show up in every relationship of your life. So thank you for doing the work. And also, just know that when we heal ourselves, we are healing our family line forward and backwards. Truly, truly, truly we are. So it's really powerful work that we're doing here today. And with that being said, I would love to hear from everybody what brings you here today? So what brings you to family healing? So I'm just going to popcorn. Let's start with Amy.
Hi. This, so the last full moon, a lot of things came up with my mother. I had kind of set very healthy boundaries because we used to trigger each other, or we still trigger each other and fight. And in order to kind of keep myself in a more harmonious state, we started getting more distance. And then recently she's been going through a lot of, let's just say, an emotional and mental kind of like breakdown, kind of like, I feel like it's a spiritual awakening at 62, and it's forcing her to look at her life a certain way. And now we're trying to rekindle our relationship. And that's why I'm here. I'm working towards how to, look at her and accept and love her, and kind of switch out the roles of being and letting her as a mother, the role of mother, like let go of that so that we can just relate as like human beings. And then there will be less resentment of like, why do I have to take care of you when you're the mother? That kind of thing, So that's why I'm here, to look for tools, look for ways to relate.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, that's such a powerful transition. And I love that we're all women here today too, so we can, relate to that in our own way, of that transition from daughter to mother and parenting our parent at some point. Yeah, really powerful. Okay, Amy, who would you like to call up?
Let's hear from Miranda.
Okay. So I'm here because I myself at 41 recently went through just a very traumatic event. Beside all the other traumatic events in the pandemic, I basically had a mental breakdown. And after coming out of that, just felt like I am now in that spiritual awakening that you just talked about with your mother. Like, I feel like I'm woke. Like, I feel like I was literally floating through life, just not thinking, not, I don't know, just letting other people predict and kind of steer me. Or I was just, I don't know, on autopilot, basically, is how I think about it. Like, just on autopilot, and not really thinking a lot of things through. You guys get that. But for me, you know, it was a psychosis, they call it, that I went into. I was just so overwhelmed with everything going on in my life that it was a positive thing for me. So I think that has a negative connotation, but it was really like a positive thing for me. And so now I'm just doing a lot of soul searching and therapy, and just trying to fix a lot of my relationships, especially with my kids. And yeah, I just got out of an 18-year divorce as well. So that's just a lot in itself. And I had two people pass away during the pandemic. So I was dealing with all of that on top of like trying to move to another city. So just a lot. I adopted my grandbabies as well. So yeah, just a lot going on. So yeah, that's me right now.
Wow, amazing. It sounds like you just went through the spiritual Olympics. Congratulations. Your honorary medal. Like,
thank you. Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's amazing. And
Thank you, Amy.
yeah, I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're here, and happy awakening, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, waking up from the autopilot. I think COVID did that to so many people, right? I'm just like, wow, what's
happening? So much time to, look at things, analyze, and yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, you're definitely in the right place, and to build off that. So most of our subconscious beliefs are created between the ages of 0 and 7, and that's what goes. That's our autopilot. And most
Mm.
people don't know that, right? And so when we
Okay.
start to dig into these stories, it'll be really hilarious to find that some of our beliefs are like super ridiculous because it was literally picked up when we were like 6 because of that
Okay.
one time dad said something, right? It's like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Another thing that I heard about in childhood, and you can tell me if this is true or not, but like um basically we are the age of our trauma, like emotionally.
Mm,
And so that stuck with me and was really powerful. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So
mm.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. That is, I definitely agree with that because what happens is something happens and we aren't able to process it fully. We were maybe under resourced
Mm-hmm.
or in a stress response, and then it gets stuck there, right? And
Mm.
then it keeps on popping up. And the way that I
Yeah.
like to look at challenges, it's healing opportunities, right? It's like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting triggered by this again because the universe is giving me the opportunity to work through it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the problem is most people aren't aware of that. So they keep on replaying the same pattern. But once
Yeah.
we have that awareness of like, oh, wait, this is just an old story playing because the issues in the tissue, right? Something could have
Mm-hmm.
happened to us when we were 3, but if it's unresolved, it's still in our nervous system response, right?
Yeah.
So it's really powerful when we work with the mind to have that awareness. And then we need to work with the body. Because it's one
Mm-hmm.
thing to just be like, hey, like I know not to do this, but our body is stuck in that response. And so it's really powerful, it's step by step, it's by behavior. There's different tools we can use, like somatic healing and all these things that can also get our body and our nervous system on board with our mind. But
Mm-hmm.
it first starts with the subconscious, and we'll go more into that. But thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, and it's so powerful, which
Okay.
is why family healing.
Yeah.
Because
I
moving
just have one last comment on
yeah.
that. Just that I want to change, right? And we're all here to make a change today, assuming, and so, or learn things. And um, basically, most of the time, I feel like, okay, I know I don't want to do this behavior or say this or act this way, but what else do I do? Like, I
Mhm.
feel like I just don't have the tools, sometimes. So, yeah, that's my dilemma a lot. Because there wasn't that parent figure or that, mentor or whatever. What do we have? TV.
Yeah.
We have TV, we have, whatever the internet offers. So, um, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You are so in the right place, my love.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Great.
after we do the intros, I'll explain a little bit more about why that happens, why we can be like,
Hmm.
I want to change this, but I feel stuck or I don't know what to
Yeah.
do. And
Yeah.
that's what rewriting your story is all about. We actually rewrite the story and then we install the beliefs and then we create the behaviors that create that as a habit. And that's how we change our life,
Hmm.
right? So here we
Hmm.
go.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. Miranda, who would you like to call on?
I'll call on Cynthia.
Hi. Okay, so I'm Amy's friend, and very honestly, when she sent this to me earlier, I was actually at the airport, but I was always just curious. It wasn't really the topic at hand, but just more so wanted to participate in one of these to see what it's like. But since we're talking about family, I guess I'll share a little bit about my background. I'm lucky to have parents who I can tell anything to, like whether it be details of dating, whatever's going on in my life. The way that my life is structured is that both my parents, actually my entire family, live overseas in Taiwan, and I'm here by myself. I've been here by myself since I was 22, so I don't have any siblings. I don't have any issues currently with my parents, but I guess for me, I I feel like there's a part of me that needs to be healed. Like it's really hard, and it still is. I'm going through life changes, and it's just I'm kind of envious of people who just like have family support here near them. So yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Cynthia. And I'm glad that you made it. That it was a spontaneous.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah. And, it was funny. I was actually, going through the workshop for myself, and I was kind of like, I don't feel like I have like crazy family issues right now, because also same thing, my family lives overseas, and even in that, like the desire to have more closeness, the desire to have more family here, right? If you're saying that you're envious about that, that's something that we can look into as well. And I think also you shared you're from Taiwan, right? I think in a lot of Asian cultures, at least in my experience and kind of what I've seen, a lot of the parents aren't very emotionally available and present, right? It's like they play the role of the provider, but when it comes to emotional intimacy, it tends to be lacking. And that's something that, a lot of Asians do deal with. And,
Yeah, I know you're absolutely right. I will say my parents, they are kind of different. They're from the entertainment industry. So they're just, the way they think, they don't operate like typical, stereotypical Asian parents, I guess.
yeah.
But I do notice that, I just get lonely because I live by myself now since I was 22. So that's been like 14 years now. And yeah, I do find myself lonely sometimes, especially during COVID. It was tough for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet. Yeah, well, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, and let's call up Lorena.
Hi. I'm happy to be here. So my parents were all, my sisters and I have a brother, we're all close. But my sisters, they live in the East Coast, so I don't get to see them as much. But I noticed like we've always had a really good relationship. Just our whole family, we're all really united. But I noticed just myself, like I've noticed just like different patterns in regards to like procrastinating and kind of like, I know it was mentioned in regards to like COVID, that was rough. We lost a couple of family members. So just I felt kind of like stuck. And then I noticed like just the different patterns, like I'll stay in the same job for a while. And I don't know why, like I procrastinate. I'm feeling happy where I'm finally creating lists and checking off things off my list and kind of feeling ready to work on my goals and projects again. Sometimes I do feel a little bit overwhelmed because my younger sister is going through just like a lot of like I guess like emotional or mental stuff right now, just with her work and her roommate situation. So I'm trying to help her in regards to that and see how I can better help her since she's kind of far away. But yeah, I'm just happy to be here and just kind of like work on myself. And yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, and thank you for, bringing in that part about the procrastination and just what's coming up for you personally, because the thing I want to mention about that is so much of our habits are inherited from our parents, right? And I'm not saying this like from a place of blame, but honestly, to just bring in that compassion. And in epigenetics, it shows that our genetics come from 7 generations up. If there was trauma that was unhealed 7 generations up, we got it in our DNA, so whatever our parents didn't heal, we have it in our DNA stronger, you know what I mean? And so, just it'll be really interesting to see, and that's going to be a part of our journey of discovery here today, like whatever you feel called to focus on, what the correlation is going to be to how things were in your family system, right? And I think it's so funny because like a lot of people are like, oh my God, my worst nightmare is to become like my mom. And then we reach that age, right? And we're like, oh my God, that's what my mom does.
That's my story. Because I'm exactly like my mom, and I always told her I didn't want to be like you. And yep, you're right, because she's a big procrastinator as well. So yep.
Yeah. What resists persists, and so I really also want to just invite in this light of compassion, because our parents really did do their best, right? And I know Miranda's a parent, right? We have some parents here. It's not an easy job. Like, it is not an easy job to even, like, for me, a 32-year-old woman without any children, I'm like, wow, managing life in general is so difficult. Like, I couldn't even imagine what it's like to have a husband, a job, work out, clean the house, have children, you know, try and keep balanced while toddlers are running around making a mess, you know, like, and we don't usually think about those things. So now that we're adults, like, how empowering that we can step into that experience and just begin to also get curious about, what was my mom going through? What was my dad going through when they were raising me? Right? Like, now we have technology and all the support that they didn't have back then too. Right? So I really want to invite this lens of like, okay, let's honor our lineage. Right? We don't have to like our family. We don't have to spend time with our family. That's really all up to us. I don't believe that there is a proper way to be in relationship with our families. That's really our sovereign decision. And what I do want to invite, though, is that let's at least honor our family, because none of us would be alive if it wasn't for them. Right? Like, somebody carried us in their womb for 9 months. Like, someone unconditionally loved us enough to keep us alive for that long, at least. And that is a gift. So yeah, before we jump in here, I just want to take this moment. I lit a candle today for our ancestors, and I want to invite us all to just take a deep breath in. And with this breath, acknowledge that every single breath that you've taken in this lifetime is because of our mother and father. It's because they chose to create us. And every single cell in our body is because of them. Every piece of hair that we have, you know, is because of them. And so let's just bring in this gratitude and this honoring for our family first and foremost. And I want to invite you to envision your ancestors, you know, living and deceased. Just envision them here with us all, so that they can also be present for the healing that's going to take place. And if you have children, you know, your lineage moving forward, invite them in as well. Invite their spirits into the space so they may also receive this healing. Because truly, when we heal ourselves, we heal our family and we heal the world. So it is. Welcome, ancestors. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen now, and we're going to jump into the magic of rewriting your story. Okay. All right, so can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, beautiful. All right, so jumping into how to rewrite our story. So number one, this is a really shocking fact, and many of you may have heard this, but our subconscious mind makes up 95% of our brain, 95%, right? And the subconscious beliefs are those beliefs that we created between the ages of 0 and 7. They're the things that are driving our lives. And so 5%, only 5% is our actual conscious mind. Right. So when we are, you know, creating affirmations and that sort of thing, that's our conscious choice. That's our conscious mind. But have you ever like said you're going to do something or try to start a habit, or maybe you say an affirmation like, I'm abundant, I'm rich, but you don't actually feel it? Right. So that's because that's the conscious mind. So if you have a subconscious belief, which is the 95% that goes against the 5% that goes against that belief that you're trying to install. So say you want to install this belief that I'm abundant, rich, and wealthy, but then you have this subconscious story that I'm poor, I never have enough. And that's 95% of your brain. Which one do you think is going to win? Right? It's like this a giant boulder versus a tiny rock. It's like David and Goliath. So when we work with the subconscious, which is what we're going to be doing in the journaling, we can start to uncover what's actually there. And so as we're journaling, I want to invite you to honestly go on instinct, right? Don't write what you think you're supposed to write what is actually there. Some may be things that you'd like to see, and some may be things that you're like, ooh, like that doesn't make sense. Great. If it's there for you to, to look at, and just trusting the intuitive field now. And so how to rewrite the story is number one, being aware of what is lurking in the subconscious. Number two, investigate and release the beliefs that are unsupportive. So those beliefs that are getting you further away from your goal. So for example, since we're on the topic of family healing, for a very long time, I had a belief that my mom was mean. We fought and all that stuff. And I had years and years of evidence that she would say unkind things sometimes. And I just kind of labeled her in my mind that my mom is mean, she's dangerous, she's unsafe. Right. And so even when she was showing up kindly, because I still had that subconscious belief, it was kind of like I couldn't receive it, because in my mind, I already labeled her as the villain. So even if she would do a kind act, because I labeled her as a villain, my mind would go, what's the catch? Right. So that, and is that a belief that's bringing me closer to my desire of wanting to have a harmonious, loving relationship with my mom, or further away? Right. So those are one of the unsupportive beliefs that we will get to investigate, release, and challenge. And so different ways to do this, number one, challenging it, meaning really looking at like, okay, is this 100% true? Right? Like look for evidence of the opposite. So say I have this belief that my mom is a mean person. If I don't want to believe that anymore, then let me look for evidence that she's a kind person. Right. And so I'll literally start listing that out, and I'll start looking for that, because our mind, our mind's purpose is to look for things, is to hunt for evidence. So we're going to find whatever we believe in. So if I want to believe that my mom is good, then I need to better start looking for evidence that she's good, and we can start reinforcing that. So that's a practical way to do it. And then another way to do it is the journaling that we're about to do. And then there's also different modalities. So like NLP, Psych-K, theta healing, these, from all the modalities that I've studied, these are the ones that I have found to be the most efficient and effective. You can literally clear things in minutes. It's amazing. Like I have cleared traumas that I've held onto since I was a baby, like from the womb. I've cleared it in 10 minutes with this modality called Psych-K. So when it comes to the more deep-rooted beliefs, if you're noticing that you're doing the journaling, you're finding the evidence, but there's still something hanging onto it, most likely that, maybe you need some support, whether it's from a, facilitator like me, or a therapist, or, hypnotherapist, whoever you resonate with. Sometimes it really helps to have someone to, hold you through that, because what happens is sometimes our conscious mind will create a block, right? Of just like, oh no, like I need to hang on to this because this is how I stay safe, because it's our reptilian brain. It's here to help us survive. So, there's a lot of different ways that we can begin to just dismantle that and create a new story of safety. And so that's the next step. It's get clear. What do I desire? Right. So if this old story isn't really serving you anymore, this isn't the story I want to tell anymore, let's get clear on what do I actually desire. And then we're going to do this practice called scripting, where we script out our new story and desired reality, because we are the authors and directors and actors of our own lives, right? So really taking that ownership, that power back into our own hands, because we do get to write our story. And then once we're clear on what do I desire, what's actually in alignment with what I want, now we install the new beliefs and create that new identity. So Tony Robbins is one of my, most inspiring teachers. And one of the things that he says is there is nothing more powerful in human psychology than our need to be consistent with who we think we are. So have you ever heard that term like, oh, I'm the kind of person who wakes up at 6. I'm the kind of person who does this. right? When you attach your story to your identity, that creates the congruency and the alignment. So in that step, we're going to actually create your new identity so that it becomes this very aligned doing, right? Like if I'm the kind of person who's patient, I don't mind waiting 5 minutes, right? So you don't have to consistently just check yourself. It's like, no, I'm just the kind of person who does this. And then after that, we anchor the new beliefs through repeated action to form the behavior and change your life, right? So first we get clear. What is the new story I want to tell? Who is this new person that I want to be? What is my focus? And then what am I actually doing, right? Like what am I actually doing in my daily life to maintain this, to create this reality for myself? All right, so now we are going to start with step number 1, which is uncovering what's in the subconscious. So what's your current family story? So for this one, we're going to do a free write for 7 minutes. I'm going to turn on some music, and here are some questions that you can contemplate on. So what is alive in your family story right now? So I want to encourage you to, since we don't have that much time, focus on a specific relationship. So for example, Amy, right, it's going to be with her mom, or it can be an issue that is most meaningful to you right now. So like Cynthia, if you don't necessarily have an issue with your family, maybe you're like, oh, I'm feeling kind of lonely, or I wish there were more people around. Just focus on that issue, and we'll see, what comes up around the family system around that. I trust that it will, because we're in this healing space. And so really just zero in on one thing that is most alive for you, that's most emotionally meaningful for you right now. And in that topic that you choose, what challenges are you facing in that? What's hard about it? So maybe, for example, like with Amy, like maybe it's hard because she can't communicate with her mom the way that she wants to, or maybe it hurts that she feels misunderstood, right? What hurts about it? Because the treasure is in the triggers. So I really want to invite you to dig in. It's a safe space, and just know that we're going to get out to the other side. So the more you'll get more out of this if you actually go there. And I really want to invite you to go there and know that everything is welcome. And then when you're done with that, at the end, I just want you to summarize your current story into one sentence, and just, allow it to be whatever it is. Like, even if it's like, maybe my current story right now is I'm terrified of my mom, or I think my mom is a bitch, like whatever it is, allow it to be. And just know that by the end, we're going to change it. And that's actually it's going to be really cool to see the contrast of where you began and where you end. So we're going to have 7 minutes for this. Before we begin, do we have any questions? Okay, great. And if you have anything come up, feel free to put it in the chat, and I'll be present with you throughout this. All right, so let's begin. Okay, so we have about 3 minutes left. And if you're finished, I want to invite you to share your one sentence story into the chat. Okay, so we have about 30 seconds left. So just taking your final thoughts to a close. You can always continue this journaling in your own time later. And for those of you who haven't shared yet, I would love to hear, what is your one sentence story summary of what's occurring in your family story right now? Okay. All right, so I want to open up a 3-minute sharing. Would anyone like to share what came up for them? Miranda said, I feel stuck and uninterested in dating because I feel that the problems in my marriage will perpetuate into the next relationship. Wow. Yeah, very powerful. Thank you for sharing that, Miranda. Cynthia says, I've always wanted to have my own family, But whatever happens, whether I end up getting married and having my own family one day or I don't, I know I will be happy. Beautiful. That's great. Would anybody like to share their experience in this one? Or we could move on to the reflections. Anything surprising come up?
I feel like after writing that, I wrote another thing that I have become my own mother since I've started feeling like I have nothing I can learn from my own mother, or like I've kind of replaced her by like having close friends that give me that nurturing feeling that I need from a mother that I don't get from her. So I feel like the universe somehow still supported me with very motherly relationships through, yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, I can really relate to that too, you know, because like like for a long time too, when I was like wanting to have a relationship with my dad, and I had this like ideal relationship in my head of like, oh, I want my relationship with my dad to be this. And then after trying for so long, I realized like, Petra, you are barking up the wrong tree. Like, you know, like that guy is not the guy, you know, like he's just not that guy, and that's okay. And me being so attached to that role of like, oh, this is what a father is supposed to be like, was getting in the way of me getting to know my actual father. You know, so I'm glad that you found different ways to still experience that mother energy from the infinite universe. You know, yeah, that's amazing. Okay, beautiful. And so the next part now is we're going to go into some even deeper reflection. Share my screen again. Share the screen. Okay. Okay. And so when we're writing out our story, it's really powerful to look at, you know, what is the neutral truth, the objective truth, and what is your story, as in your projection. So for example, a neutral truth would be, my mom commented that I gained weight versus my story, my mom is rude and likes to belittle me, right? So can you see how one is just like news, this is what happened. And then the other one is the news with my personal commentary, which is my mom is rude and she likes to belittle me and make me feel bad, right? And so I want to invite you to just go back in your story. We're just going to take 3 minutes here to just go back in your story and look at like, okay, is there anything where I'm creating a projection that really isn't the truth and isn't serving the relationship, right? And just bring awareness to that. And then here's the really fun part, shadow work and mirror work. So if there's anything that you're resisting or judging in your situation that you're looking at and you're like, oh, I hate this, this is wrong, I don't like this, which is totally okay to feel, you know, but just looking at how is the thing that you're judging or resisting in the situation or in the family member, how could that, you know, potentially possibly be a reflection of you and what's going on in your inner world. So let's just take 3 minutes and start looking for those things. And you can circle them, you can write it down, you know, just bringing awareness to that. And yeah, to go deeper into a judgment, if you're feeling a little bit stuck, look at the judgment and ask yourself, what's wrong about that? You know, so for example, I have a judgment that my family is boring. And so it's like, okay, what's wrong with being boring? And start digging there. If they're boring, it means what, you know, and how does that relate to me? Why is it wrong? And a note on the judgment as well. You know, very often we have a judgment because in our minds, we're like, this is what it means to be right. And so we have our own set of rules and expectations around certain things. And if other people aren't meeting those, we make them wrong. That's what a judgment is, right? And so really look at too, like, okay, what are the rules that I've created around this specific thing that is actually my personal rule that I am now imposing on another? And if they're not meeting that, now they're wrong, or they're not good enough, or whatever it is that we judge about them, right? So look at that too. Okay. All right. Who wants to share on this one? Any surprising reflections come up for you?
I don't want to be the one that keeps on sharing. So if anyone else, if not, I'll go.
I know, me either. I have stuff, but go ahead.
You go.
Hear from Miranda. Yeah, I love the interactiveness. Thank you so much. It's bringing so much to the space.
Oh my. So this is embarrassing. I found that this exercise was pretty hard to look and say, you know, is this wrong? Is that wrong? Am I being honest with myself? I found that challenging. So I just want to say that. And because I've always got to be right, right? So I want to second guess myself. So I changed a few words, like instead of saying very abusive, I just put abusive, and I don't know why I did that. But the real big thing that stood out to me, which I did know this, but again, it goes back to that thing. Well, okay, I know this about myself, but how do I change it?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So when I said that my issues will perpetuate, really, my issues are perpetuating, like in the present tense, like after my, in new relationships. And so I'd really like to change that. So my the key things that I noticed is my naivety sometimes in things and dealing with people, and then buying love, like spending money, paying for things, stuff like that. And I have tried to change that, but it's like a really conscious thing I have to work at. It's a tough thing for me because that's how I remember my grandparents being, and my mom and I were really close with them, and so um, instead of talking about life and things like that, it was very surface level, I remember. And we would just go out to eat. We would go out to eat, we would go shopping, and that was pretty much it. It was real surface level and stuff like that. So think that's where that stems from.
Mm.
So yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
But I'm not sure, so I don't know. But yeah, I just hate that. I hate that about myself.
What do you hate about it?
Because I think people see that as a weakness, as she's stupid, she's paying for everything, or she will, or something like that.
Who sees
like
that?
my ex, and so yeah. So I don't know if it's like an image thing, if I want to seem like, oh, I got this, I don't feel like that, but I'm not sure really. So or if it's just a thing that my family did, and that's why I continue doing that kind of stuff. It's easier with my kids though, because my kids, I would just buy them whatever, whether they were good or bad. I couldn't even use that as like reward, a reward or something to take away, because I would just still always do it, and it's just bad. So I've definitely worked on that with my kids. So.
Beautiful. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And so coming back to the act is neutral, right? You buy things for your kids, that's actually neutral, but then what story are you putting around it? So like for an example, like I live in my mom's house, and I had a lot of shame around that. Because the story I put on it was just like, oh my God, I'm like living at my mom's house. Like, that's so embarrassing. And then one day someone reflected to me, wow, you must have really good karma. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting way to look at it. It's like, yeah, you're right. Like, how lucky did I get to live in my mom's house? And then my story around it changed. Instead of this thing that's like shameful, I'm like, wow, I'm so lucky, right, that I have somebody that's providing for me. So in this instance for you, with, okay, so you like to buy things for people, what is the story that you're telling about that?
I don't like it.
Oh, okay.
I don't like it. But I guess in the moment it was okay. But I got really traumatized and started thinking about it more when I was in my relationship with my husband, because he would never like anything I bought. And so it made me feel even worse. It made me feel worse that he was like, no, didn't like it, take it back to the store. And his mother was the same way. Like when I would try to bring her things, I had a pretty close relationship with her, but as far as that thing, like she would never want anything I gave. And so that always, like, I don't know, just kind of bothered me. Like, that's kind of rude. I don't know if it's rude. I don't know if that's the right way of looking at that, but I thought it was just pretty rude to just be like, no, I don't want it, even though there was no catch or anything to it, you know what I mean? So and what were you asking me?
Yeah, I mean, on that note, because it's like what I'm hearing is that's a love language for you, gifts, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Coming with the gift with an act
Yes.
of love, and then they're rejecting it. That
Yeah.
hurts.
Yeah.
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 Right?
That's it.
And so now there's a negative connotation. There's a trauma that's now attached to you giving gifts of love, right?
Yep.
What happened? So that's totally understandable. That's totally understandable that there's hurt there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're in the middle of it. So now we're going to move to the next step. So don't worry if you're kind of like, all right, we just like dug up all this stuff. What are we going to do with it? We're going to do it in the next step.
No worries.
Okay. All right, so now we're going to start scripting our new story. Okay, so now we've like dug up like, okay, so here are the things that don't feel so good, that aren't working, and you might feel a little bit raw or triggered or emotional, and that's okay. And we're going to deal with that. And honestly, this is an unfolding discovery, right? Like we just opened the door and now we're gonna bring out some gold to help to integrate all of this. So actually first, let's do a cleansing breath. Let's all take a deep breath in together. And just kind of wipe the slate clean really quick. We dug up the dirt. We are allowing ourselves to be with the things that are here. And now let's create a blank new canvas for, okay, this is my current situation. It's not my forever situation. I also have a pen in my hand and I get to script my new story. And so scripting is a manifestation practice where we get to dream big. Really, I want to invite you in this situation, write anything you want, even if it feels ridiculous, it's okay. Because the point is for us to expand our consciousness, expand our imagination, and open up to new possibilities, right? Because we manifest from feeling. So the bigger the feeling you can create, the more magnetic you are to attracting that experience and embodying that experience. So in scripting your new story, if you could have anything, if you could wave a magic wand and have anything at all, in your ideal world, what would your relationship with your family or this specific person or this specific issue, what would that be like? What would this ideal situation be like for you, for whatever you wrote in the first section? And then going deeper into that, like I really want you to imagine with your body, how would you feel? So say you want to have a healthy relationship with your children, or in your new relationship, in your new romantic relationship. How does that feel? How do you feel when you wake up in the morning? How do you feel when you're with this person? Do you feel excited? Do you feel beautiful? Do you feel sexy? Do you feel happy, confident, right? Like really dream that up. And then how would you show up? So this is the really important part. It's not just about them. We're not just putting it all on the other person, right? Because we have a lot of power. How am I showing up? Am I showing up with an open heart? Am I showing up with curiosity? Am I showing up feeling sexy, taking care of my body, right? Am I showing up with compassion? And then what would your focus be, right? So maybe in the past, your focus is, like my mom isn't listening to me, or, like I'm not being heard right now, or I always feel out of place in this, or my ex is saying mean things to me, right? So in your ideal world now, what is your focus? So an example of that could be, if you are calling in that dream relationship, or, for your next partner, or you want to have a kid, maybe your focus is, what am I doing today that makes me an amazing mother? Or what can I do today that would make me an amazing partner? Or how can I love my mom today? How can I make my mom feel important today? Right? And so just really, we're going to train our brains to focus on the thing that we desire. And I also want to invite you to do it from a space of abundance, and it's already here, right? Like, I already have my dream relationship. How can I make it even better, for example? And then what would your beliefs around this relationship be, or around the situation? So, again, if we are talking about like wanting to have kids, maybe it's having kids is easy and fun, or, like I'm so supported in creating my new family, or I've learned so much from my last relationship that this relationship is going to be the apex relationship of my life. Or, maybe if you're healing your relationship with your mom, maybe your core belief would be, every day it gets better, or I learn from every situation, or every time I see my mom is an opportunity to give her love, right? Or, like I am safe. I'm safe to express myself. I know how to take care of myself. I know how to take care of this other person. So really putting in those positive affirmations, those supportive affirmations into your pot. What we're doing is we're planting something new. So what do you want to water your pot with? What do you want your story framework to be? Okay, so do we have any questions before this section? Okay, great. So we're going to have 5 minutes for this one. And if you have any questions, you can just pop in the chat. Okay, so that is our 5 minutes. I would love to hear, someone's new story. How about Lorena or Cynthia, since we haven't heard from you yet in this section?
Yeah, I like to share.
Yay.
Um, it was like, this has been so just, I just feel like just so motivated, and it's just like so like inspired and healing. Because there was so much just going through my mind in general, just like, with the family, and then my sister, and then myself, and then it was just like something, as I just like kept writing and writing, I was just like feeling like, wait, what? I'm like so busy looking at like, wait, what are they doing? Every time I hear my sister, like, what is she doing? What is she doing? Or what can she do? What can she do? But then it was just like something just like shifted, like, I can't really control that, but I can control myself. Like, so it's just like, what am I doing? And it's just, I felt like just like I was trying, I was getting overwhelmed with trying to control like what she can do. And so, and then what am I going to do, or how am I going to control this?
Mm-hmm.
But now I just feel like, even like just the whole, one of the things was like being more affectionate, like towards my husband. And I just feel like just this whole new person where it's like, okay, what am I going to do? How am I going to just do things that make me happy? And I don't know. So I was just writing all this, like, okay, to make me happy, like, come in and just, how was your day, rather than like get stuck like on the phone or just being so like robotic and like on the go. So it's just like, that just makes me feel so much like, okay, in the morning, I just wake up and just feel so motivated to just be myself again, or just be this new person. So I just feel like a whole weight off my shoulders now, having to I feel like a new mindset. I don't know how to explain it, but
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, in your new mindset, what is your focus now?
I feel like, just because one of the things was, as we were talking about healing and just like generation and family, one of the things I did notice as all of this was kind of, I was going back to the generations, I was thinking like part of the thing, like, and I don't know if it's like a cultural thing with us, but it's just like showing affection. And it's just very like, just not as affectionate. So I felt like now it's like, I can control that myself. Like I can, so I just feel like I can show affection maybe like in different ways, or just where it's not, because my husband and I have been together for like 16 years now.
Wow.
So it's just, yeah, so it's just, I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like a new person where I can get up in the morning, give a hug, and say, okay, bye, I'm going to work now, rather than like, okay, bye, and rush out the door. So
I love that. I love that. Yeah. So you know what I would encourage you, there's this thing that Tony Robbins taught me too, is called the primary question. And we have these primary questions in our lives, right? Like those questions are always running in the background and we can choose them. So maybe for you in this one, a focus or primary question for you could be, what are different ways I can show affection today? Or how can I show my husband I love him today? Or what would make my husband smile today? What would make me feel more connected to him today?
I love that. Yeah, definitely. I like that a lot. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yay, thank you for sharing. I'm so glad that you had that transformation in this.
Me too. Thank you.
Amazing. So we're catching up with time a little bit. All right. So now we're going to bring it all together. And so this is the part where we integrate the past, right? That first section. Now we have the future or present future that we're creating right now with our scripting. And so now we're going to bring it all together. And so we're going to journal for 5 minutes now. What did you learn from your past experiences? So this is really like, let's choose to take even the painful experiences from the past. Let's choose to just look for the wisdom. What did I learn from this? How did this make me a better person? Or what do I choose to do with this? So now it's a gift instead of a burden, right? What did I learn from that? And how did it shape me into who I am today, right? Maybe me being mistreated in the past taught me boundaries, right? Or, like maybe having an uncompassionate mother taught me how to be compassionate and made me seek friendships that gave me that love that I never got, right? So like, let's really look for the blessings and those challenges. And then what are you leaving behind? So, maybe it can be leaving behind a certain story or a certain perspective of someone. And like, let's just let that be. Like, let's not paint that person as the villain. Let's not paint ourselves as the victim anymore. Like, what are we ready to leave behind? Because it's just not serving us anymore. We mine the gold, we can leave the baggage behind. And then what are you committed to moving forward? And it could be really simple things. Maybe it's, I'm committed to showing affection to my husband every day, doing at least one thing. Or maybe I'm committed to, texting my mom once a week, whatever it is. Or maybe I'm committed to taking this step in dating, or healing my relationship from the past in this way, or buying a book, whatever it is that feels like your aligned next step. And then what's your new family story? So this is going to be that statement, you know, that we had in the beginning. Now we're going to transform that into what is your present and future reality that you're choosing for yourself right now. So we'll do 5 minutes for this and begin. Okay, and if you're complete, I would love to hear what your new family story is and just type it in the chat. Beautiful. So Lorena said, I'm committed to being more in the present. Woo! That's amazing. That's our timer. Amy said, I have loving communication with my mother that is harmonious, uplifting, and supportive. Talking to her is easy and fun. Ah! Oh my gosh, that's so amazing. I want to invite you to also like look at what your original story was and now compare it to what it is and just celebrate that. My new story is I'm creating more authentic relationships with my family members by being honest, authentic, and express, and giving them the permission and invitation to be more of who they are out loud. And then Miranda, did you want to share yours as well?
I'm on the last part, but yeah, I could just read like a little bit. Just that leave behind any regrets of self-doubt and fear of being taken advantage of. It is a gift that has been shaped who I am today, and learning how to recognize my own faults as well as the fault of maybe an insincere person.
Beautiful. Okay, yeah, and then whenever you finish this, just write your news story around that, because we are coming up to 8:30. So yeah, I want to just bring us into the integration of this. So living in your new reality. So really putting this into action. What is one aligned action you can take in the next 24 hours, to act on this new reality, this new story that you've created? It can be big or small. So I want you all to feel into that and type it in the chat. What is one aligned action that you can take? Okay, beautiful. So Amy said, texting her an open-ended question to connect. Beautiful. Yeah, for me, since I want to have more authentic and deep relationships with my family, I'm going to call my sister and have an authentic catch up with her, because it's been a couple months now. And then, yeah, whenever you have it, Lorena and Miranda, just share it in the chat. And then the next part is, for the more lasting change. So what actions and behaviors are most important for you to embody to create this lasting shift? So like, what is the more long-term plan for this? Is it, maybe Amy, do you text your mom at least once a week, right? With Lorena, like, do you maybe have date nights with your husband, right? Like, how can we make this more sustainable so that this is a consistent part of your reality? Yeah, Amy, being patient, consistent, beautiful, right? So take more time later, because I know that we're coming up on time here, to really reflect on that, brainstorm, and you can always come back to this. So if you ever forget, go back to your journal and just look at like, oh, hey, this is the reality I decided I want to create, and these are the things that are going to help me actually live that out and experience this and maintain it and create it in my life. Okay, so we are at our time. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. So, I would love to keep in touch. If you would like to keep in touch, I would love to get your emails and your Instagrams in here, and I'll add you. Please use me as a resource, and I would love to hear how this is for you. And I'd like to offer a complimentary, like 20 to 30-minute call. Just, if there's anything that you want to go deeper on, or maybe you're kind of like, oh, this feels incomplete, because I know that the time went by really quickly. Feel free to send me an email at coachpetrahoy@gmail.com, or my Instagram, petra.hui. I would love to continue to support you on this journey. And we have plenty of events happening on the Human Beauty Movement as well. So you can go visit humanbeautymovement.com. We have online workshops, and if you're local in Southern California, or if you want to fly down, Amy and I are hosting a Goddess Day on August 20th. That's going to be like a divine feminine mini festival. So definitely come check that out as well. Would love to stay connected. And we do this event, Rewriting Your Story, every month, and we choose a new topic. So would love to see you again, and would love to continue to support you on your journey. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Petra. Love you.
Thank you
in
both so
touch.
much. This is really, really awesome.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, I would love to get your Instagrams, your emails, Lorena and Miranda. We can keep in touch.
Mine's
Thank
just
you.
my full name, Miranda_Claggett.
Oh, can you?
I don't know.
Yeah,
you
can you spell your
my-
I think I just followed you yesterday. Let me double check.
Okay,
I
cool.
don't know. Okay, I just followed